The Krath Armada emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. 300 warships, each one a testament to 10,000 years of dominance. Supreme Commander Drac stood on the bridge of the Endless Conquest, expecting to see a primitive world defended by desperate ships. Instead, he saw a fleet. "Sir, I'm counting over 400 vessels," his tactical officer reported, voice shaking. "Human ships, Velan frigates, Tauran cruisers, Halvan destroyers. They're all here." Drac stared at the display, his confidence wavering. The humans hadn't panicked. They had built an alliance. Admiral Day stood on the bridge of the Defender, surrounded by his command crew. Fleet Admiral Ho commanded the 2nd Battle Fleet. Captain Tay led the 3rd. Captain Na had returned from her reconnaissance to command the 4th. And Battle Fleet Orion, the fleet that started it all, held the center position. "All ships, this is Admiral Day," he broadcast across all Allied channels. "Today we don't just fight for Earth. We fight for every species that's ever lived in fear. We fight for freedom itself. The Krath think they're invincible. Let's teach them otherwise." A cheer erupted across 400 ships from humans and aliens alike. For the first time in 10,000 years, the galaxy stood united against tyranny. "Enemy fleet advancing," Lieutenant Yun reported from Tactical. "They're moving into attack formation." "All ships engage at will," Day ordered. "Show them what freedom looks like." The Battle of Earth began. The Krath attacked in waves, their standard formation designed to overwhelm through sheer numbers. But the Allied fleet didn't fight in standard formations. Human ships mixed with alien vessels, each species using their strengths to cover another's weaknesses. Velan ships, with their superior sensors, acted as forward scouts, feeding targeting data to everyone. Tauran cruisers, built heavy and tough, absorbed fire while human railguns returned devastating volleys. Halvan destroyers, fast and agile, harassed the Krath flanks while Bekran energy weapons tore through shields. Commander Jin led a combined fighter force of over 6,000 craft. Human pilots flew alongside Halvan aces, sharing tactics and covering each other. They dove into the Krath formations like a swarm, targeting vulnerable points with precision. "All fighters, focus on their capital ships," Jin ordered. "Take out their engines and weapons. Make them floating targets." The battle raged for hours, space filled with weapons fire, exploding ships, and the chaos of the largest space battle in recorded history. Captain Hana maneuvered the Defender with deadly precision, her crew working as one. Lieutenant Yun coordinated communications across dozens of species and languages, ensuring everyone fought together. Engineer G had modified the weapon systems one final time, increasing power at the cost of overheating. "Captain, we can fire at 120% power, but only for short bursts before we need to cool down." "Do it," Hana ordered. "All batteries maximum power." The Defender's railguns fired so fast they glowed red-hot. Each shot slammed into Krath shields with devastating force. 3 enemy ships fell to the Defender's guns in as many minutes. Captain Tay's battleship Retribution lived up to its name, charging into the thickest fighting and emerging victorious each time. His crew cheered as another Krath dreadnought exploded under their fire. But the Krath kept coming. For every ship they lost, they pushed harder, trying to break through to Earth itself. Drac focused his assault on the human ships, believing if he could break the humans, the Alliance would collapse. He was wrong. When a human cruiser took critical damage, 2 Velan frigates moved to cover it. When a Tauran ship lost shields, human fighters swarmed to protect it. The Alliance didn't fight as separate fleets. They fought as one. Far from the battle, in the depths of Krath space, Commander Young Lee's strike team approached Krathis Prime. The stealth ship Shadow slipped past the home fleet patrols, using technology shared between humans and Velan to avoid detection. "We're approaching the Annihilator station," Na reported from the pilot seat. "Security is lighter than expected. They must have sent most of their forces to Earth." Young checked her team, 12 operatives, human and alien, the best of the best. Dr. Sol Park was with them too. His linguistic skills needed to navigate Krath systems. "Remember the plan?" Young said. "We plant the charges on the power core, extract the Emperor if possible, and get out. We have 20 minutes once we breach the station. After that, the home fleet will respond." They docked at a maintenance port, cutting through the outer hull with quiet precision. The Velan Shadowwalker moved ahead, silent as death, taking out guards before they could raise alarms. The Tauran heavy trooper carried the explosive charges, each one powerful enough to crack a ship in half. Inside the station, they found Emperor Zul-Karath in his command chamber, watching the Battle of Earth through holographic displays. He was ancient and cruel, his face marked by centuries of dark practices that extended his life. "You're losing," Young said, her weapon trained on him. Zul turned slowly, showing no fear. "Am I? I see many ships dying at Earth, many humans dying. But you're here and we're about to destroy your weapon," Young replied. "Your empire ends today. My empire has lasted 10,000 years. It will last 10,000 more. You cannot kill fear." "No," Zul said, stepping forward, "but we can kill you." The Halvan tech specialist worked frantically at the controls. "The power core is heavily protected. I need 5 more minutes to override the safeties." "We don't have 5 minutes," Young's second-in-command warned. "Alarms just triggered. The home fleet knows we're here." "Then hold them off," Young ordered. She looked at Zul. "You're coming with us." "I think not," the Emperor said, and suddenly guards poured into the chamber. The battle inside the station was brutal and desperate. Young's team fought with everything they had. The Tauran trooper held the main corridor, his massive frame absorbing fire that would kill anyone else. The Velan Shadow Walker moved through the enemy ranks like a ghost, striking from unexpected angles. "Core is ready," the Halvan specialist shouted. "Charges armed. 3 minutes to detonation." "Everyone out!" Young ordered. She grabbed Zul and dragged him toward the exit, even as enemy fire hammered around them. They made it back to the shadow with seconds to spare. Na launched immediately, the stealth ship racing away from the station as the Krath home fleet converged on their position. Behind them, the Annihilator exploded. The station that had destroyed 47 worlds in the name of fear and control vanished in a ball of nuclear fire. At Earth, Drac received the news. The Annihilator was gone. The Emperor had been captured. The symbol of Krath invincibility had shattered. "All ships withdraw," Drac ordered, his voice defeated. "Withdraw to Krath space immediately." But the Allied fleet wasn't done. They pursued the retreating Krath, harrying them every step of the way. By the time the Krath escaped the solar system, they had lost over 100 ships. The survivors fled in disorder, their morale broken. On the Defender, the crew cheered as the last Krath ships vanished into faster-than-light travel. They had won. Against impossible odds, they had won. Admiral Day allowed himself a small smile before addressing his fleet. "All ships, damage reports. Medical teams, tend to the wounded. We'll mourn our losses later, but right now enjoy this moment." Today the galaxy changed. Across the Allied fleet, exhausted crews celebrated. They had lost ships and friends, but they had proven something vital. The Krath could be defeated. News of the victory spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. On hidden worlds, species that had cowered for millennia rose up. Without the Annihilator, without their Emperor, the Krath couldn't maintain control. The Dominion began to fracture as rebellions erupted everywhere. 3 months later, representatives from 43 species gathered on Earth for the first meeting of the Galactic Council. The Age of Empire was over. The Age of Cooperation had begun. Emperor Zul-Karath sat in a prison cell, watching through a window as beings from across the galaxy worked together to build something new. His empire of fear had fallen. In its place grew something he never understood: hope. Admiral Day stood at the podium addressing the gathered representatives. 3 months ago, we heard a distress call that was 3,000 years old. We could have ignored it. We could have hidden like everyone else. Instead, we answered. He paused, looking at the faces from so many different worlds. That's what defines us now, all of us. We don't hide from threats. We don't accept tyranny. When someone calls for help, we answer. That's not just humanity's way. That's the way of all free people. Rena Thal stood beside him, representing the Velan, Koshen for the Halvan, representatives from every species that had fought together, bled together, and won together. The Krath ruled through fear. Day continued. We will build through hope. They divided us. We will stay united. They conquered. We will cooperate. And if anyone threatens the freedom we've fought for, they'll face not one species but all of us. The chamber erupted in applause, voices from dozens of species joining together. Later, Captain Hana found Day on the observation deck, looking up at the stars. "Thinking about what comes next?" she asked. "Thinking about how it started," Day replied. "A distress call from people we'd never met. We could have done nothing. Most of the galaxy did nothing for 3,000 years. The conference room on the Defender had never been so crowded. Admiral Day sat at the head of the table, surrounded by beings from a dozen different species. Ambassador Renathal represented the Valen. Ko Shen spoke for the Halvan, his aged face marked with scars from centuries of hiding. Representatives from the Tauran, Bekran, Solmar, and 8 other species filled the remaining seats. "Thank you all for coming," Day began. "3 weeks ago we were strangers. Today we're allies. But we need to be more than that. We need to be united." Ko Shen leaned forward, his forearms folded across his chest. "The humans proved the Krath can be beaten. That's why we're here. But beating one fleet is different from defeating an empire." "He's right," Rena added. "The Krath have resources we can barely imagine. The force you defeated was just a small part of their military. Emperor Zul-Kareth rules from the capital world of Krathis Prime, protected by the Annihilator weapon and a fleet of over 1,000 ships." "Then we'll need 1,001, Day said simply. "We'll need every ship, every resource, every idea. Together we can do this." A Tauran engineer named Vec spoke up. His species were master shipbuilders before the Krath came. "Our people still remember how to build warships. We've been hiding in the Tauran remnant system for 2,000 years, but we kept our knowledge alive. If you can provide materials and protection, we can build." "Same for my people," a Bekran scientist said. "Our species specialized in energy weapons. The Krath banned our research, but we continued in secret. We have designs for weapons that could pierce their shields more effectively." Dr. Saul Park, who had been taking notes, looked up excitedly. "If we share technology between all our species, we could advance decades in months." The Krath kept everyone separate on purpose. United, we're far more capable than they realize. Over the next week, the alliance took shape. They called it the Galactic Liberation Alliance. Every species contributed what they could. The Valen had excellent sensor technology. The Halvan produced the best pilots outside of humanity. The Tauran built ships. The Bekran designed weapons. Captain Nayun, commander of Earth's stealth ship Shadow, returned from a reconnaissance mission with critical intelligence. She projected a hologram of a massive space station orbiting Krathis Prime. "This is the Annihilator," Na explained. "It's not a ship. It's a station the size of a small moon. It generates a beam that can crack a planet's crust. The Krath have used it 47 times in recorded history." The room fell silent. Finally, Rena spoke. "As long as that weapon exists, no one is safe. Even if we defeat their fleets, they'll use it to destroy our worlds." "Then we destroy it first," Day said. Ko Shen shook his head. "Impossible. Krathis Prime is in the center of Krath space, protected by their home fleet. We'd never get close." "Not with a fleet," Day agreed. "But maybe with a small team." He looked at Na. "Can it be done?" Na studied the hologram. "It would require perfect timing, extensive intelligence, and a lot of luck. But yes, it might be possible." "Then we plan for it," Day said. "While the Krath focus on our fleets, we strike at the Annihilator." Dr. Mira Shin, a xenobiologist, had been working with the alien scientists. She stood up, her face pale. "There's something else you need to know. I've been studying the Krath biology and technology. They're not naturally this powerful. 3,000 years ago, they were a mid-level species, but then they found something." "Found what?" Hana asked. "Remnants of an ancient civilization far more advanced than anything in the galaxy today. The Krath didn't invent the Annihilator. They found it and learned to use it. That's how they conquered the galaxy so quickly. They've been reverse engineering ancient technology and keeping it for themselves. This changed everything. The Krath weren't innovators. They were scavengers who had gotten lucky. If they're using ancient technology they don't fully understand," Engineer G said slowly, "then they probably don't know how to repair or improve it. They're using what they found, nothing more. Which means," Lieutenant Yun added, "if we can match their technology, they have no advantage. And if we can innovate beyond it, we win." A plan formed over the following days. The Galactic Liberation Alliance would openly build their forces, drawing the Krath's attention. Meanwhile, a small team would infiltrate Krathis Prime, destroy the Annihilator, and capture Emperor Zul-Karath himself. Without their ultimate weapon and their Emperor, the Dominion would collapse, but they needed time, and the Krath weren't going to give it to them. Commander Young Lee, head of Earth's Special Forces, began training a mixed team of human and alien operatives. Young was a veteran of Earth's toughest conflicts. but even she was impressed by the alien warriors who volunteered. A Velen shadow walker who could move silently through any environment. A Tauren heavy trooper strong enough to tear through metal. A Halvan tech specialist who could hack any system. We're going to need a miracle to pull this off, Young told Day during a planning session. We've already had several miracles, Day replied. What's one more? Earth's government finally committed their full support. Fleet Admiral Ho Sang arrived with news that Earth's shipyards were working at maximum capacity. New warships were being built by the dozen. The 2nd, 3rd, and 4th battle fleets were forming up. The president wants you to know she still thinks you're reckless, Ho told Day with a slight smile. But she also says you were right. If we don't fight now, we'll fight later on worse terms. How long until the reinforcements arrive? He asked. 6 weeks. Can you hold that long? We'll have to, but 6 weeks was too long. Deep in Krath space, Emperor Zul Karath made his decision. He was ancient, having lived for over 1,000 years through technology and dark practices. He had crushed rebellions before, but never one that united so many species. Never one that gave the galaxy hope. That hope was dangerous. It had to be extinguished before it spread further. He summoned every available ship. 300 warships, the largest fleet assembled in 2,000 years. They would go to Earth, the source of this rebellion, and destroy it completely. The humans had made themselves the symbol of resistance. Without them, the Alliance would crumble. The Krath fleet began moving. It would take them a month to reach Earth's solar system, but when they arrived, nothing would survive. Captain Na's stealth ship Shadow detected the fleet movement and sent word immediately. Lieutenant He Park, the communications officer coordinating between all allied species, broadcast the warning. 300 Krath warships heading for Earth. Arrival in 4 weeks. The conference room fell silent. 300 ships. Even with all their preparations, even with the Alliance, those were impossible odds. We can't stop them, Ko Shen said quietly. We should scatter, go back into hiding while we still can. No, Day said firmly. We hold, we fight. Earth has 4 battle fleets preparing. The Alliance brings at least another 100 ships, and we'll use every advantage we have. It won't be enough, Rena said, though her voice carried no judgment, only sad certainty. Maybe not, Day admitted, but we don't fight because we're certain to win. We fight because some things are worth fighting for. Freedom is worth fighting for. And if Earth falls, at least we'll fall fighting, showing the galaxy that resistance is possible. He looked around the room at faces from a dozen different species. The Krath have ruled through fear for 10,000 years. They think they're invincible. Let's prove them wrong. Even if we lose, we'll make them bleed. We'll make them understand that the age of easy conquest is over. One by one, the representatives nodded. They would stand with Earth. Over the next weeks, the Alliance worked frantically. Ships were retrofitted with improved weapons and shields. Pilots trained together, learning combined tactics. Engineers shared designs. Commander Young's strike team prepared for their mission to Krathis Prime. They would leave 2 weeks before the Krath fleet reached Earth. While humanity made its stand, Young would strike at the heart of the Empire. On Earth, people watched the stars with a mixture of fear and pride. Their navy was going to face an empire that had conquered the galaxy. But they were not facing it alone. Across dozens of worlds, species that had hidden for millennia prepared to fight. The Velen loaded their old warships with whatever weapons they could find. The Tauren finished building new cruisers. The Halvan trained their elite pilots. Admiral Day stood on the observation deck of the Defender, looking at Earth glowing blue and green in the distance. Hannah joined him. Do you think we can win? She asked quietly. I think we have to try, Day replied. That's what makes us different from the Krath. They fight to dominate. We fight to protect. That has to count for something. 4 weeks later, the Krath Armada entered Earth's solar system, ready to deliver extinction. Supreme Commander Drak Theron stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Endless Conquest. He had served the Krath Dominion for 300 years, crushing rebellions and enforcing order. He had never lost a battle. Today would be no different. The human vessels are holding position near the Veil Nebula, his tactical officer reported. 12 ships. They're not running, Drak laughed. Of course they're not running. They're too primitive to understand their situation. He activated the communication system. Human vessels, this is Supreme Commander Drak Theron of the Krath Dominion. You have attacked our ships and encouraged rebellion against lawful authority. For these crimes, your species is sentenced to extermination. You have one chance to surrender. Do so now, and we will only take your leaders. Refuse, and every human world will burn. The response came quickly. Admiral Day's face appeared on the screen, calm and unmoved. This is Admiral Day Quan. Earth does not recognize your authority. We do not surrender to tyrants. If you want a war, Supreme Commander, come and take us. Drax's expression hardened. Very well. You have chosen extinction. He cut the transmission. All ships attack formation. Destroy them. The Krath fleet moved forward, a wall of deadly warships. They had fought this battle countless times before against species that dared to resist. It always ended the same way, but the humans did something unexpected. Instead of meeting the Krath head-on, they retreated into the Veil Nebula, a massive cloud of gas and radiation that interfered with sensors. They're running, one of Drax's officers shouted. No, Drax said slowly. They're setting a trap. All ships maintain formation. Deploy sensor drones. I want to know where every human ship is. Inside the nebula, Captain Hana stood on the bridge of the Defender, watching her sensors carefully. The Krath are sending drones in. Engineer G, are the countermeasures ready? Engineer Specialist Jihan grinned from her station. Ready, Captain. I've modified our electronic warfare systems. When I activate them, their drones will start sending back false readings. Do it, Hana ordered. The Krath drones suddenly reported human ships in 12 different locations, all of them moving in different directions. Drax stared at his display, confused. That's impossible. They can't be in all those places. Sensor ghosts, Commander, his tactical officer suggested. They're jamming us. Then clear the jamming and send fighters into the nebula. I want those ships found and destroyed. Krath fighters launched by the hundreds sleek attack craft that dove into the nebula. They found the first human position and attacked, only to discover they were firing at automated drones broadcasting false signatures. By the time they realized the trick, human fighters appeared out of nowhere. Commander Jin led the assault personally, his fighters screaming through the nebula at speeds the Krath couldn't match. Human pilots had trained for years in simulators, running combat scenarios against superior numbers. Now that training paid off, all wings engage, Jin ordered. Hit them fast and get out. Don't let them pin you down. The battle inside the nebula became chaos. Human fighters used the radiation clouds for cover, appearing and disappearing like ghosts. They targeted the Krath fighters' engines and weapons, disabling rather than destroying when possible. Every disabled Krath fighter was one less threat, and it forced the enemy to make choices: keep fighting or rescue their pilots. Outside the nebula, Drax grew increasingly frustrated. His fighters were being torn apart, and he still didn't know where the main human fleet was. All capital ships advance into the nebula. We'll flush them out with overwhelming firepower. It was exactly what Admiral Day had been waiting for. They're coming in, Lieutenant Yun reported from Tactical. All 52 ships entering the nebula. Wait for it, Day said calmly. Let them spread out looking for us. The Krath fleet moved deeper into the nebula, their formation loosening as they searched different sectors. That's when the Defender and 5 other human warships erupted from a radiation pocket directly behind the Krath rearguard. All ships, open fire, Hana commanded. Railguns hammered the rear Krath ships before they could react. Plasma torpedoes, modified by Engineer G to penetrate Krath shields more effectively, slammed into hulls. 3 Krath ships exploded in the first 30 seconds. Rear attack, Drax roared. All ships come about. But as the Krath fleet tried to turn, the other 6 human ships appeared from different positions, hitting the flanks. The humans had positioned themselves perfectly, using the nebula's sensor interference to hide until the last moment. Lieutenant Yun coordinated the firing solutions, his calculations perfect despite the chaos. Target their shield generators first, then their engines. Make them sitting targets. The Krath tried to return fire, but their weapons weren't designed for this kind of close-quarters battle inside a nebula. Their targeting systems struggled with the interference. While the humans seemed to have adapted completely, Captain Tae-Wan, commanding the battleship Retribution, charged directly at a Krath dreadnought 3 times his ship's size. All forward batteries, continuous fire. Let's see how tough they really are. The Retribution shook as enemy fire hammered its shields, but Tae kept advancing. His ship's railguns fired round after round, each one slamming into the same spot on the enemy's shields. Finally, they collapsed. The next salvo tore into the dreadnought's hull and it began venting atmosphere. That's for every species you've enslaved, Tay muttered. Drac realized with growing horror that he was losing. These humans fought with a coordination and aggression he'd never encountered. They used tactics that seemed insane, charging ships 3 times their size, deliberately exposing themselves to draw fire while another ship flanked. But somehow it worked. All ships withdraw from the nebula. Drac ordered. Regroup in open space. But the withdrawal turned into a rout as human fighters harried the Krath ships every step of the way. Commander Jin's pilots targeted engines and weapons, turning proud warships into crippled hulls. By the time the Krath fleet escaped the nebula, they had lost 20 ships and twice that many were damaged. Drac's tactical officer stared at his screen in disbelief. Commander, they're not pursuing. They're holding position at the nebula's edge. Admiral Day had no intention of pursuing. His ships had taken damage too, and he needed to conserve ammunition. But he had proven his point. The Krath could be beaten. Send a message to the Krath commander, Day ordered. Tell him this was just a taste. Tell him every species in this galaxy is watching, and tell him that Earth stands ready to help anyone who wants to be free. Rena Thal watched the battle from the Defender's observation deck. She had seen the impossible. A species that had only been in space for 40 years had defeated the Krath Dominion in open battle. Tears streamed down her face, but they were tears of joy. On hidden worlds across the galaxy, other species watched the broadcasts. The humans had kept their promise. They had fought the Krath and won. For the first time in millennia, people dared to hope. A Halvan leader named Ko Shen, who had lived for 200 years in hiding, sent a message to the human fleet. We see what you did. We hear your words. If you truly mean to fight the Krath, then we will join you. Our ships are old, but our people remember how to be brave. More messages came in. The Tauren, the Velen colonists, 6 other species all emerging from hiding, all asking the same question. Can we join you? Admiral Day stood on the bridge, reading message after message. Captain Hana stood beside him. What do we do now, Admiral? Now, Day smiled. Now we build an alliance. We show the galaxy that together, we're stronger than any empire, and then we take the fight to the Krath. Earth Command won't like it, Hana warned. Earth Command will understand once they see what we're building. This isn't just about protecting humanity anymore. This is about freeing the galaxy. On his flagship, Drac Theron composed his report to Emperor Zul Karath. He had never felt fear before, but he felt it now. The humans were different. They didn't fight to survive. They fought to win, and that made them more dangerous than any enemy the Dominion had ever faced. The galaxy was changing. The age of Krath dominance was ending, and it had all started because one human admiral heard a distress call and decided to answer. The medical bay of the Defender smelled of antiseptic and something else, something alien. Dr. Saul Park stood beside the bed where the Velen woman lay recovering. Her name was Rena Thal, and she was the last ambassador of her people. How many of you are left? Saul asked gently, his translator device converting his words into the Velen language. Rena stared at the ceiling, her large eyes reflecting the overhead lights. Maybe 10,000. Scattered across a dozen hidden colonies. We've been hiding for 3,000 years, ever since the Krath destroyed our homeworld. She turned to look at Sol. Your people fought them. You won. Do you understand how impossible that is? We just defended you, Sol said. Anyone would have done the same. Rena laughed, but it was a bitter sound. No one does the same. The galaxy learned long ago that helping others only brings the Krath down on you too. Every species survives by staying quiet, staying hidden, staying small. You just painted a target on your entire civilization. Admiral Day entered the medical bay and Rena tried to sit up, wincing at her injuries. He waved her back down. Rest, Ambassador. You're safe here. Safe? Rena's voice rose. The Krath ships escaped. They sent a signal before they fled. Right now, every Krath commander in this sector knows about you. They know you have warships. They know you fought back. They will come for Earth with everything they have. Let them come, Day said simply. Rena stared at him like he was insane. You don't understand. The Krath Dominion has ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. They have millions of ships, billions of soldiers. They've crushed 1,000 rebellions. Species far older and more advanced than yours tried to resist. They all failed. Then we'll be the first to succeed, Day replied. He sat in the chair beside her bed. Tell me about them. Everything you know. Over the next several hours, Rena painted a grim picture. The Krath Dominion controlled most of the galaxy through fear and overwhelming force. Any species that developed faster than light travel was given a choice: submit and become slaves, or resist and be destroyed. They had perfected the art of crushing hope. "They have a weapon," Rena whispered. "The Annihilator. It destroys entire planets. They use it to make examples. The Tauran Confederation tried to fight 2,000 years ago. The Krath used the Annihilator on their 3 most populated worlds. 5 billion dead in minutes. The rest surrendered." Captain Hana, who had been listening quietly, spoke up. "How does the weapon work?" "I don't know the details. No one does except the Krath. They guard the technology jealously." "What about their ships?" Lieutenant Yunbeck asked. The tactical officer had his data pad out, taking notes. "Their shields failed pretty quickly when we hit them." "That's because you have weapons they've never seen before," Rena explained. "The Krath suppress technology. They don't allow subject species to develop advanced weapons. Most of the galaxy uses whatever the Krath permit them to have, which means everyone fights with inferior equipment." "But you were advanced once," Sul said. "Before they destroyed you. What happened to your technology?" Rena's expression darkened. "We destroyed it ourselves. Before the Krath could study it, we made sure every weapon system, every factory, every research station was wiped out. Better to die free than give them the tools to enslave others." The bridge received a priority transmission from Earth. When Day returned to take the call, the president's face filled the screen. She looked worried. "Admiral, what have you done?" she demanded. "We're receiving reports that you engaged an unknown alien force without authorization." "I defended innocent lives, Madam President," Day replied calmly. "And in doing so, we learned that humanity faces a threat unlike anything we've encountered." "The Krath Dominion." "We know about the Krath," the president interrupted. "We decoded the ancient messages. That's exactly why I'm ordering you to return to Earth immediately. We need to prepare defenses, not provoke them." "With respect, Madam President, they already know about us. The moment we developed faster than light travel, we became a threat to them. They would have come eventually. But now they're coming with a fleet. Our intelligence suggests a major Krath force is heading your way. 50 ships, Admiral. You have 12. Then send me reinforcements," Day said. "Or better yet, start building more ships." "Because I'm not running and I'm not hiding. That's not your decision to make." "You made it my decision when you sent me out here to explore." Day's voice remained respectful but firm. "Humanity spent centuries dreaming of the stars. Now we're here and we find a galaxy enslaved by tyrants. We can either hide like everyone else or we can stand up. I choose to stand." The president was quiet for a long moment. "If you lose, they'll come for Earth. If I run, they'll come anyway. At least this way we fight on our terms." The transmission ended. Hana approached Day, her expression conflicted. "She has a point. 50 ships against 12 isn't good odds." "No," Day agreed. "But we have something they don't." "What's that?" "The element of surprise. They think we're primitives. They think we'll panic and scatter. They've been bullying the galaxy for so long they've forgotten how to actually fight." Commander Jin joined them, a fierce grin on his face. "My pilots are ready, Admiral. Those Krath ships were fast, but our fighters are faster. Give us a chance and we'll show them what Earth can do." Over the next week, more information came in. Rena helped them understand Krath tactics and formations. She also revealed something crucial. There were other species hiding nearby. The Halvan, the Tauran, even a few surviving Velen colonies. All of them listened to long-range communications, hoping for news, living in fear. "If you truly want to fight the Krath," Rena said, "you need to give the galaxy hope again. You need to show them that resistance is possible." Day made a decision that would change everything. He ordered Lieutenant Yun to broadcast a message on every frequency the Valen had recorded. The message was simple but powerful. "This is Admiral Day Quan of the Earth Battle Fleet. We have heard your distress calls. We know about the Krath Dominion. We know you've been hiding, afraid, scattered. We're here to tell you that you don't have to hide anymore. Earth stands with all free people. If you're listening to this, know that you're not alone. We are coming. Hold on." The message spread through the hidden networks of refugee species faster than Day could have imagined. On dozens of hidden worlds, people who had lived in fear for generations heard words they thought they'd never hear. Hope. But the message also reached the Krath. Supreme Commander Drak Theron received the transmission on his flagship, and his rage was terrible to behold. How dare these primitives challenge the Dominion? How dare they encourage rebellion? He accelerated his fleet's approach. 50 warships, each one a match for anything in the known galaxy. He would crush these humans, broadcast their destruction to every world, and remind the galaxy why the Krath ruled. The battle fleet Orion detected the incoming Krath force 3 days later. They were heading straight for the human position and they weren't trying to hide. 52 ships confirmed, Yun reported. They'll be in weapons range in 6 hours. Day looked at his crew. Young men and women who had signed up to explore the stars. Now facing a battle that could determine humanity's future. He saw no fear in their eyes, only determination. All ships, battle formation, he ordered. Today we show the galaxy what humanity is made of. Today we fight not just for Earth, but for every species that's ever cowered in fear of these tyrants. Load all weapons, bring shields to full power, and someone send a message to the Krath. What should it say, sir? Yun asked. Day smiled grimly. Tell them that Earth does not surrender. Tell them that freedom isn't negotiable. And tell them if they want a war, we'll give them one they'll never forget. The Defender's engines flared bright blue as the ship prepared for battle. Admiral Day Quan stood on the bridge of the EFS Defender, staring at the holographic display floating before him. The stars stretched endlessly in every direction, beautiful and empty. For 40 years, humanity had been exploring space, reaching farther with each passing decade. They had found dead worlds, ancient ruins, and evidence that intelligent life once existed among the stars. But they had never found anyone alive. Admiral, we're receiving something strange, Lieutenant Yoon Kim called from her station. The young communications officer's fingers danced across her console, her face illuminated by the soft blue glow. It's a signal, sir. Very old, very faint. Day walked over to her station, his boots clicking against the metal floor. What kind of signal? It's repeating. The same pattern over and over. Yoon adjusted the frequency and a series of pulses filled the bridge speakers. The pattern is too regular to be natural. Someone sent this message. Captain Hana Lee, commander of the Defender, joined them. She was younger than Day but had earned her position through skill and courage. How old? She asked. Based on the signal degradation, I'd say at least 3,000 years, maybe more. Day felt something stir in his chest. 3,000 years. An entire civilization had sent this message before humanity even discovered writing. Can we decode it? Dr. Saul Park is working on it now, Hana said. He's the best xenolinguist we have. They waited in silence as the minutes passed. The bridge crew continued their duties, but everyone kept glancing at the communications station. Finally, Dr. Saul's voice came through the speakers. He was in his lab, surrounded by computers and translation programs. Admiral, I've got it, Saul said. His voice trembled with excitement. You need to hear this, the message played. It was a female voice translated into English by the computer. The words were simple but carried the weight of desperation. This is the Velan Coalition to any who receive this transmission. We are dying. Our worlds burn. The Krath Dominion has found us. They come for any species that reaches the stars. They enslave or destroy. We tried to hide, but they always find us. If you receive this message, do not answer. Stay silent. Stay hidden. The galaxy belongs to them. We are the last. We will soon be gone. To whoever finds this message in the future, we are sorry we could not warn you in time. Stay silent. Serve. The message cut off abruptly. The bridge fell silent. Day felt cold despite the comfortable temperature. Play it again, he ordered. They listened 3 more times. Each time the words hit harder. The Krath Dominion. A species that hunted others across the stars. Suddenly, the empty galaxy made terrible sense. Everyone was hiding, sir, Hana said quietly. Earth's government needs to know about this. They do, Dai agreed. But first we need more information. He turned to face his crew. How many ships do we have in this sector? Battle Fleet Orion, sir. 12 warships, including the Defender. Good. Set a course for the signal's origin point. Maximum speed. Yoon looked up, surprised. Sir, the message said to stay silent. To hide. I heard what it said, Lieutenant. Day's voice was firm but not unkind. But that message is 3,000 years old. Maybe things have changed. Maybe they're still out there hiding. Either way, we need to know what we're dealing with. Commander Jin Choi, the head of their fighter wing operations, stepped forward. He was a pilot first and always would be, even with his command position. Admiral, with respect, we should at least inform Earth before we go investigating a potential threat. We will inform them, Day said. But while we wait for politicians to debate and committees to form, people might be suffering. If there's even a chance someone out there needs help, we have to check. The journey took 3 weeks. During that time, Saul worked tirelessly to learn more about the Velan language and culture from the message. He discovered fragments of other transmissions, all from different species, all with the same warning. Stay hidden. The Krath are everywhere. They destroy anything that threatens them. Earth's government sent messages telling Day to wait for orders. He acknowledged each one but kept moving forward. Some called him reckless. His crew called him brave. On the 22nd day they found something. Contact, Yoon shouted. It's an active beacon. Same Velan frequency, but this one is recent. It's a distress call. Day's heart raced. Where? 30 million kilometers ahead. Small vessel moving at sublight speed. She paused. Sir, there are other ships. 3 of them, closing on the Velan vessel. Their weapons are hot. Battle stations. Hana ordered immediately. Alarms blared throughout the ship. All hands, this is not a drill. Jin launch fighters. All ships combat formation. The Defender and the 11 other ships of Battlefleet Orion surged forward. Through the view screen they could see the chase. A small damaged ship limped through space while 3 larger vessels pursued it. The hunters fired energy weapons, each blast tearing chunks from the refugee ship's hull. Hail them, Day commanded. All channels. No response, sir, Yoon reported. They're ignoring us. Then get their attention. All ships, weapons free. Target the attacking vessels. Commander Jin, your fighters are cleared to engage. The Defender's railguns fired first. Solid projectiles accelerated to incredible speeds crossed the distance in seconds. The first shot slammed into a Krath ship's shields and they flickered but held. The second shot went straight through. The Krath ships broke off their attack immediately, turning to face this new threat. They were sleek vessels, dark purple with angular designs. They looked fast and deadly. Incoming transmission, Yin said. They're demanding we withdraw. They say we're interfering with Dominion justice. Tell them, Day said slowly, that Earth does not recognize their authority. Tell them to leave the refugee ship alone and depart, or we will destroy them. The Krath response was immediate. All 3 ships opened fire on the Defender. Energy bolts streaked through space, slamming into the ship's shields. The crew grabbed their stations as the ship shook. Shields holding at 87%, Lieutenant Yoon Baek called from tactical. Their weapons are powerful but not as advanced as we expected. Return fire, Hana ordered. All batteries, full spread. The Defender was built for war. Humanity had never found an enemy in space, but they had prepared anyway. Railguns, plasma torpedoes, laser batteries, and missile pods unleashed hell. The other 11 ships of Battlefleet Orion added their firepower. Commander Jin's fighters swooped in, 60 small craft moving with precision and deadly intent. They danced between the larger ships, targeting weapon emplacements and engines. The Krath had never seen tactics like this, never faced an enemy that fought with such coordination and aggression. Within minutes, 1 Krath ship exploded. The other 2 tried to retreat, but the human fighters harried them every step of the way. Finally, the remaining Krath ships activated some kind of faster-than-light drive and vanished. Cease fire, Day ordered. The sudden silence felt strange after the chaos of battle. Status on the refugee ship? Life support failing, but they're still alive, Yoon said. They're hailing us. Put them through. The view screen showed a being that looked almost human, but with larger eyes and silver-blue skin. She was injured, blood seeping from cuts on her face, but she was smiling. You answered, she said in heavily accented English, tears streaming down her face. After 3,000 years, someone finally answered our call. Dave felt something shift in that moment. Humanity had been searching for their place among the stars. Now they had found it.